It's been a while since I've used the LED panel, but this time I've got a big one with 500 plus LEDs, both CCT and RGB range. Let's review that. What's good, guys? My name is Oleg Nikitin, you're watching No Limits On channel. So this is a 100 watts panel, both with CCT range from 2000 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin with green magenta capabilities. You can shift the color a little bit, but also it draws 100 watts of power in the RGB or HSI mode, which is great, and it's called YNPAD100 RGB. So there are basically two configurations of this light. You have a kit version with a pretty nice and versatile kit, but also you have a bare bones version only with the light, the D-tap to DC cable, and that's basically it. So you can purchase either one. The kit version is a pretty nice deal in my opinion. So now let's have a look at what we get in the kit. So first of all, it comes in this hard shell carrying case, and the light itself is over 3 kilograms, so it's a pretty beefy light. So as you can see on this case, we have a locking mechanism right here. Also, we have the enforced corners of this case, so it's a pretty nice addition to carry it in a very safe way. Now let's have a look at what's inside the case and the light itself. So right here, as you can see, we have the light. Underneath the light we have the light dome, or let me say a softbox. Also we have all the cables, so the D-tap to DC cable, the power brick, and one more cable, and the total length of the cables is around 3 meters, which is nice. And the light itself is made out of plastic mostly, but it's a pretty nice and durable plastic in my opinion. Also, a pretty cool thing about this light is that you can power it in multiple ways. So you can use your outlet for 100 watts of power draw. Also, you can use the USB Type-C connector for 70 watts of power. You can also use the D-tap connector to connect it to a V-mount battery. And we have two types of V-mount batteries. So the type of the V-mount for 14.8 volts will provide you with 60 watts of power, which I'm using right now. It's behind the light on a special mount. And also, if you have a better V-mount or a bigger V-mount or with more voltage V-mount battery that is 26 volts or above, you can get the full potential of 100 watts of power. And one more cool feature is that you can use 4 NPF batteries and get up to 80 watts of power draw from those 4 NPF batteries. So a ton of powering options, which I like. Also, this yongnuo light features 30 customizable effects, and we have 10 different frequencies for each effect, and it means that we have around 300 effects in total. So now, guys, let's have a look at the light itself. You can see all the ports, the DC-in, the Type-C, V-mount, and NPF batteries on the back. We even have some text, which batteries give you which amount of power. We have the metal mounting point, also with an umbrella mount, which is nice. The yoke is made out of metal and a pretty sturdy handle as well. We have the barn doors, also made out of metal. Really well made barn doors, by the way. And also here you can see that we have both the RGB LEDs and also the CCT LEDs in 2 different rows. In terms of control elements, we have 2 knobs, and you can push into the knob to change the setting or to change the amount of percentage that you do, basically adjust the light, 0.1% increment or 20% increment. And also you can change the hue and saturation with the left knob and the intensity with the right knob. If you go to the CCT mode, you can go into the Kelvin value with the left knob. Also, if you press that in, you can change the green magenta value, which is awesome, and I love the lights that have green magenta capabilities. And also you can adjust the intensity in 20% increments or 0.1% increments. Also the effects, as I said before, 10 frequencies for each effect and up to 30 effects, so you have a ton of effects to play around with this light. And here you can see different settings, like turning the fan off, but if you turn it off, it drops to less than 50% of power, and it's not the perfect solution. Also, you can change the 2.4 GHz or Bluetooth setting, and also the dimming curve from linear to an S curve or something like that. Also, this light comes with a pretty nicely made softbox. It's not the biggest softbox in the world, but it comes with a crate or a grid. And basically, guys, here's what we get at 1 meter away from me. My camera was set to manual focus, I guess, and sorry if this is a little bit out of focus, but you can see the shadows under my face and the Rembrandt light style. It's not the softest softbox and not the softest light I've ever seen, but it does what it's supposed to do in terms of its size and doesn't cut off a lot of output. And speaking of output, here it is with the V-mount battery. So it's a maximum of 60 watts, also with the NPF batteries in the middle, 80 watts of power, and here we can see 100% from the DC in, and it's a 100 watts of power. So it's a pretty linear difference. It's like 60, 80, and 100%. In terms of the light quality, with the barn doors set to the widest angle, we have very nice and even beam, and I see no artifacts whatsoever, so at the widest angle it's super awesome. But if we close down the barn doors a little bit to cut off the light, you can start to see some reflections of the LEDs themselves, kind of the streaks and shadows, so you gotta keep that in mind and be a bit more careful at the edges of the beam. Here I'm showing you the color range between 2000 Kelvin and 10,000 Kelvin, and it's a huge range. And of course the CRI and TLCI ratings are top notch. And here's a comparison with the light that is lighting me right now, the COLBOR CL220, and right now I'm using it in the silent mode, and the maximum power output is 50% in this mode, but it's a bicolor 220 watt light by COLBOR. So here we can see that the 50% in silent mode with the COLBOR CL220 is just a tiny bit brighter than the full power of the YNPAD100. And here we can see 100% of the CL20, but it's, you know, it's a super powerful single source light, COB. So it's a pretty nice performance by the yongnuo light, considering that it is a panel light. It's a different type of light. But if we compare it to another COB light, but in RGB mode, the Sokani X60, which is great in terms of RGB and my favorite and personal preference light in terms of RGBs, we can see that the YNPAD at 0 HSI simply destroys the Sokani. It is much brighter in the red channel, and then we'll have a look at the purple color, or both the red and the blue channels, and you can see that the YNPAD is even brighter in the blue channel, which is really nice. And this light is awesome for lighting the backgrounds with color. It's really intense, and the quality of the light beam when you use some colors like RGB colors is really nice. No drop off, nothing crazy. Whereas the Sokani is notorious for having some outer coloring on the ring, especially if you're using the kit reflector. Is just not the best solution to light something with this one in terms of the background. So the Sokani is good in RGB mode, but it's not perfect. And guys, speaking of pricing, if you only want to have the daylight version 5600 Kelvin and the single light kit, so without any accessories basically, it is as cheap as $170. But if you want to have the full kit and the RGB version of this light, it's around $330, which is more than reasonable in my opinion. Let's have a look at the competition. So here we have a light by Savage, which is 3 times the price. Of course, it is a great light, but guys, come on, 3 times the price. Also here we have the Digital Photo, which is also a 100 watt RGB light, but with DMX control. So if you want to have DMX, you gotta pay double the price of the yongnuo light. And here we have the iFootage PL80C, which is the 80 watt light, so you lose about 20% of output and you pay the same amount. So in terms of pricing, the yongnuo PAD100 RGB is placed really nicely. And guys, why you might need this light and how would I use this one? So when I started filmmaking, I had kind of a similar light, but only with daylight color by KMTV company, also the same size, around 600 LEDs, and I was using it together with a self-made frost frame. I had really cheap, light stands with a pole in the middle, and I also was using the shower curtain, the cheapest shower curtain I could find for like, I don't know, $3, maybe $10. So I was using this one as a frost frame, and I was simply firing at full blast this light panel into this frost frame, and I was getting really decent shots. So you can use this light to fill up the frost frame, or you can use the included softbox to make it a key light or a fill light or even a backlight. But in my opinion, this is the greatest light in terms of filling the whole space with a color, because the RGB is so bright in this yongnuo light, and it's awesome to have it in a studio and to be able to basically lit the whole scene in one color, or you can even have a mix of colors with 2 of those light panels in RGB mode. So to me, it's more of an RGB super machine. So guys, please let me know down in the comment section below, do you use panel lights, or which lights do you use and why? And if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notifications bell. Here I have another video for you to watch next about a light from the same company. See you in the next video guys, take care, bye.